Hello, it's me. We're back with another tutorial today. So this is one of those super slick high ponies that you see all over Instagram these days, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So I just want to let everyone know before we get started that this is not quite for the faint of heart, let's say. It's fairly easy to do, but if you do something wrong, then you're kind of up shit creek. So yeah, just if you do want to give this a try at home, maybe use a wig that you don't care about and yeah, have fun, do your best. It's honestly not that difficult, but I think, I don't know, with a lot of things going on with the glues and pulling it into a ponytail and stuff, there's a lot of potential for it to go wrong. So yeah, just a word of caution before this. I just want to say also that this is a really universal style. Like, you don't have to do a braid high pony. You can do plenty of other things with this kind of slicked back sort of situation going on here. So yeah, I don't know, use your imagination. Anyway, bye. Before we get started, I'm just going to go through a list of a few things that you're going to need, apart from, like, you know, your tools like a brush and hairspray and things like that. You're going to need some zip ties. Make sure they're the big ones that can wrap around, you know, a whole fistful of hair. You'll need some of this elastic cord thing. You can just buy it online. I think this is called bungee cord, and you want to make sure it's like relatively heavy duty. You're going to need Elmer's glue, like washable Elmer's glue. I buy mine in like the 1 liter tubs or whatever, and then I dilute it with 50% water. So I have it in this little jug thing that I just got from Big W that you can just pour into a little cup, and I apply it with a little brush as well. This is just a makeup brush. I think that's it. I'll let you know if there's anything else that we need to add later down the line, but for now, we're just gonna get right into it. So first things first is I'm going to separate away the hairline, and I've already pinned the wig onto the block, and you want to do so in such a way that the back is pulled down nice and tight. You also want to make sure that there's none of those like air bubbles where the wig is bunching. You want it really nice and smoothly laying all around the wig block. Okay, so all of the hair from the hairline, which is the part that is hand tied into that lace bit, is pinned out of the way, pinned and clipped. And I didn't mention it before, but you need to have a straight or relatively straight wig. Like, it can have a little bit of wave in it, but yeah, you can't have a super curly wig with this because you're not going to get that intended slick look from it. The next thing we're going to do is separate out the crown of the head, or the top, you know, the bits where the tracks are sort of going horizontal to the hairline. I'll turn and show you my angle. So everything going around in this sort of U shape around the head, we're going to clip away, but we're going to take the back maybe 3 tracks or so and leave them down. So the reason why we left 3 or 4 tracks out at the back here is we're going to make an anchor point. So because I've pulled this bit of hair so far forward, I can easily see where the center of the wig is, because you've got that center seam that goes through the fabric part on the top of the wig. So I'm just going to take the center bit there, about as wide as my teasing brush, and I'm just going to add a bunch of teasing in here, and this is going to be where we put the whole ponytail section. So everything is going to come either back away from the face towards the center part or up from the nape of the neck. And don't be afraid to really get in there with the teasing. This is all going to be covered anyway, so it's not super critical that it be smooth or anything. So I'm just going to brush that out so that there's no annoying loopy bits or whatever. And then I'm simply going to pin through the wefts, sort of at this between these sections here. I'm just going to do that just to make sure that the wig itself isn't going to shrink when I do this next step. So I'm going to basically make sure it has to lay flat. And I'm going to do the same for the underside. Just 3 on either the top and the bottom. Get these pins out of the way just by pushing them all the way in. And then we're just going to zip tie it into a little ponytail. And like I said, this is going to be the basis for the whole entire hairdo. Great, so she's nice and secure. The reason why we teased it is because if it's teased a little bit after the zip tie, then the zip tie is not going to slide out. And we also have a little sort of teased base here that we can pin into if need be later. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that zip tie off and remove those pins, and I'll even brush this pony out a little bit. Not like all the way up here, but just the ends so that they're not annoying me. And you can even pin that away or clip that away. So the next step is actually really quite easy. We're going to pull everything in the back up to a nice ponytail. We're going to add it to this ponytail here. Now, when I pinned the wig in, I included some pins here that go down a little bit lower and include sort of the sides of the wig here. And that's just because when we pull it into such a tight ponytail, I don't want, you know, any of that being pulled up into the ponytail as well. I just simply will grab all of the hair and gradually brush it up into a ponytail. And don't be concerned with any of the wefts showing at this point. You just want it sleek and with none of these like loops and stuff. You just want it all nice and tightly pulled into the ponytail. And it's at this point you might want to grab that anchor pony and hold the two together, and then you can work on making sure you've got everything in there nice and tightly. You might find it easier to sort of lean the head forward. It's kind of, you know, unique to you. But eventually what we're going to do is we're going to get it all up into a slick ponytail at the back. And use some hairspray. Help your brush grip the hair. I think this stage is probably the stage where the most dexterity is required, because you kind of have to really articulate all your fingers individually to make sure that everything you've brushed up stays nice and taut while adding more hair to your ponytail. But you get the hang of it eventually. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take that bit of bungee cord. We're going to hold it up here with one finger and then wrap it around the ponytail and then going until we have no more bungee cord left. You want a good few turns, and you can even pull it nice and tight when you're wrapping it around. Then once that's done, go ahead and double, triple knot it, whatever, and just make sure it's nice and secure. A little tip is when you're creating a ponytail like this that has multiple sections pulled together, you want to be aware of any bulk bits. So this knot I'm putting sort of in the center of the ponytail to be covered by this. I'm not going to tie it at the back here because then it's going to cause some unnecessary bulk when we're trying to disguise this a little bit later. So I'm just going to add one layer of hairspray and blast it with the hair dryer, and I'm going to use my can to sort of get it nice and smooth. Excellent, and none of this is going to be visible in the end, so it doesn't really matter too much what it looks like, so long as, I mean, three-dimensionally, it's nice and slick and smooth. We are going to take some glue and just smother the whole back section with it. And this is going to create that like rock solid tap, 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 you know, effect that everybody loves with these kinds of wigs. And it's also going to provide a sticky base for the step after that, which we'll get to. All right, the time has come. Now this is a 50% glue and water combination, and you want to go in the direction of the hair. So starting sort of at the root and going up towards the ponytail itself. And you can be quite generous. I mean, the glue dry time is going to be longer the more glue that you use, but these things are going to take a day or two anyway, so you might as well go ahead and just really go for it. Now if you're wondering, this is water washable, which means if you really wanted, you could undo this wig style. But if you do it well enough, it should last forever, unless you're obviously performing in a swimming pool. So you don't really have a reason to undo it, because this wig is just going to last forever if you treat it right. But I always want to make that disclaimer whether a wig is restylable or not, and this one is. Unless you do something else to it, like we're going to end up cutting a lot of this hair off, so it's probably not going to be restylable, but the glue itself is not what's making it that way. In fact, this is a great base option for a whole bunch of different wig styles. You could get a human hair topper instead of a braid. You could just use this as an updo base as well. Once everything's up in a pony, yeah, you've got plenty of options to explore. So this tutorial here is not just for the braided kind of style. You can take this and apply it to pretty much any updo, anything up. And as I approach the cord here that we wrapped around, I like to sort of catch a little bit with the glue just to make sure that, you know, it doesn't slip or anything. I don't know what the girls wearing my wigs are gonna be up to, so, you know, I like to prepare for everything. But yeah, once we've done this, I'm gonna take I have a rat tail comb, and I just like to sort of take the flat part and just make it all smooth. And don't worry, the glue dries clear as well. So if your wig is looking a little mayonnaise-y, then it's okay. Don't panic. Excellent, and this is what we're looking like so far. So obviously you can still see there's a whole bunch of wefts visible both at the back and on the sides. So we're going to fix that now. And it's important to do this at the same time that you've just done the first layer of glue because it helps you when it's still wet. What I'm going to do is we're going to pull out this ponytail here, and we're going to take a bit of hair from all the way around the back half of the ponytail. Maybe not quite dividing it in half, but you kind of want to take, you know, let's say a good chunk on the back half, but all the way around. Shout out to Ivory Glaze for teaching me this. She is a wonderful wig stylist, and I have the privilege of getting to work with her quite a lot. She is the love of my life. And what we're gonna do is get rid of the remaining stuff. Pop it forward. Brush this out. And then sort of check if we've got enough hair by spreading it out all the way around and seeing if we're covered for all of those wefts that we saw before. So you can sort of gently brush it out so to not mess up the layer underneath, and see whether or not you've got enough to sort of reach all the way around the back of the wig and cover all of those wefts. And I'm gonna say that we do. So the next step is to take one of your zip ties and sort of go around all of that hair. And I'm going to pre-load the zip tie basically by just doing it up once or a couple of clicks and pushing it around that cord, and then I'll tighten it a bit more, but not completely tightening it. We just want enough that we can move the hair around and it'll stay where we want it to coming out of this part here. And we just want to make sure before we lock everything in that we've got it sort of spread out nice and evenly on all angles. And I'll even lean the wig head forward a bit and just make sure that it's nice and evenly spread out. And you kind of want to stop at the ears, because when you think about it, all of this hair from the lace is going to come up straight towards the ponytail. So you don't want hair sort of coming this way and poking out. And if there's not enough hair in one section, you can sort of draw it from another section, just pull it around, brushing it out nice and smooth. And once you're happy with that spread, then you can go ahead and lock it in by tightening up this zip tie, which we don't use our teeth to tighten. Now I'm just going to sort of keep it in place. We're gonna glue it eventually, but just as a safety measure, I'm gonna do some hairspray now, because the hairspray obviously sets a lot quicker than the glue. And so it's like a pre-glue layer. Now the reason why we put such a heavy layer of glue on before is because when you think about it, now all of these bits of hair, they're glued on the underside back down, Now we just need to sort of encase it on the top side, and while I'm waiting for my glue to ooze out of the dispenser, I'll just explain that we're just gonna start here and just sort of, yeah, make sure that it's all glued nice and flat and smooth. Now the thing with this layer is we're going to be cutting the ends of the hair to length and sort of making them look nice and neat and things like that. And that's not easy to do. In fact, it's not possible to do if the ends are all glued, because you're going to end up with really harsh cuts. You can't feather solid hair that's been glued. So we're going to be gluing all the way down and stopping just shy of the edges of the wig. And we can glue them again later after we've cut them. But for now, we're just going to maybe, I don't know, a centimeter before the edge of the wig. And another thing I'm going to do is to make sure that this is laying flat to the neck later, I'm going to take another bit of the elastic cord and I'm just going to sort of pin the hair while it's drying so that it sits more flat. And I like to pull the pins out so that the hair's not sort of laying over any big sort of pearl head situation. And that way, yeah, you just get a better, more consistent result. I'm sorry about all the construction going on in my building, by the way. It's not a great time to be a drag queen on the internet, on YouTube. So you can go in with a rat tail comb and just give it a little bit of a finesse and make sure there are no like really large globs of glue. And then leave it to dry for, look, it'll become workable in a few hours, but it's not gonna be completely ready for about 24 hours. So this is not really a nice, easy, quick style kind of thing. And to be honest, it's not an easy style overall. It's not for the faint of heart. So, in about 3 hours, I'm going to come back and then we're going to focus on the front of the hair. But we kind of need to wait because otherwise we're going to get hair stuck to here and then it's going to get messy and stuff. So it needs to be dry enough that it's not going to be mucked around with while we're styling the rest of the hair. So with that said, I will see you in a few hours. Okay, so it's been a little bit of time, a couple of hours, and one thing I want to note is that when I did the zip tie up before, I left the bulky bit here at the back, so I since turned it back and I didn't do too much damage, but just be mindful to put your bulk sort of in towards the center of the ponytail. That's because when we eventually wrap it and then sort of build it up, we want it to be as slick as possible. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna angle the head back and bring this ponytail down. Give it a gentle brush just because that glue is not completely set, but you know, you can get away with touching it. And we're gonna work on pulling the rest of the hair, and we're gonna do it in 2 different sections. So if you did it like me, they should already be separate. And this should be quite easy. Just simply brush it and then add it. And I find sometimes using a smaller comb makes it easier to do, because you can really sort of dig in and make sure you've got all of the hair pulled nice and taut. And this brush, this comb in particular has multiple rows of teeth. I think I just got it at Hair House Warehouse, and I don't know, I really like it because it just grips the hair a bit better than a single row of teeth, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to pick up the back pony, brush them together, and sort of hold it nice and tight at the base of the now combined pony. And then we take another bit of bungee cord and we're gonna wrap it around as well. We're gonna hold it up here with our finger and thumb and just pull it tight and wrap. Pull it tight and wrap. Till you have all of the hair nice and secured. I'll leave a link to the bungee cord just off of Amazon in the description below. But look, honestly, they're all kind of the same. And then you guessed it, more glue. So, pasting it down, making sure there's a nice smooth surface underneath for all of the rest of the hair to sit on top of. And then like the last time, I'm just going to get some of this bungee cord with the glue as well, so that she sort of won't be doing any slipping. Because in the end, we're attaching this huge long braid, right? And we don't want any slipping, because who knows? She might be whipping that shit around, you know? Now, we can go ahead and take out the rest of the hair and do pretty much the same thing. So in this circumstance, you've got glue that is quite wet down here, so you kind of want to be careful about any contact when laying this down. So you kind of want to brush it all in the right direction. You can even tilt the head back so that you can finesse the hair a bit easier. And make sure that we've got that hairline nice and smooth. And I'm just gonna go in with my teasing brush because it's a bit more surface level, and just make sure all of my hair is detangled and stuff. I don't wanna mess with the glue that's underneath here, so I kind of only really wanna make sure that the surface is nice and pretty. Then you can gather it. And tilt the head back up. Now for a style like this that's super slick, you need a bit of tension. And it's important to get as many pins into that lace as you can, because tension means higher risk of ripping the lace. So you just want to be careful, you know? You're just aiming to get all of the hair grabbed tightly around the base of the ponytail and nice and smooth, going all in the same direction. And then once you're happy, grab your cord and I pull it down to sort of stretch it out, and then around, and then hold it with my pinky. Pull it down, stretch it around, and then holding it with my pinky. And with each one, you should feel the wig getting tighter and tighter, and sort of, I don't know, I guess more stable. You know, it's not as flimsy of a ponytail anymore. So I went around, what's that, 4, maybe 5 times? And I'm just going to do a single knot, and then I can let it go while holding the 2 ends. Pull it nice and tight, and then tie it off with your second knot. Now with this one, a little bit of bulk is kind of unavoidable at the front, but that's okay. That is okay. And I mean, honestly, that's a great ponytail on its own. You know what I mean? Obviously, we'd be covering up the black bungee cord and even trimming the faux hairline at the back. But you can see the concept. You get it now, right? So, I mean, yeah, you could stop here. If your wig was long enough that this ponytail, you know, is to a length of your liking, great. All you would need to do is take, you know, a decent chunk of hair here, wrap it around, and you can even glue it so that it doesn't come undone. But what we're going to do is take it one step further, and we're going to add a little bit of height here. We're gonna add a cylinder and wrap some hair around, make it look nice and pretty. And then we're gonna add a huge braid that goes down 1 meter long. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is glue the front bit, because it doesn't really make sense to have only half a hard wig. If we're making it a helmet, the whole thing should be a helmet. But when you're gluing this section, you don't want to go all the way to the lace, okay? You need a little bit of flexibility with the lace so that you can adjust it, and, you know, everyone's face shape and head shape is different, so you kind of want to be able to manipulate the wig a little bit. So you're only going to glue from here inwards, you know, leave yourself 5 centimeters or something like that. And I'm just going to take my rat tail comb and just finesse some of the hairs a little bit more. Awesome, I'm super happy with that. So all I'm gonna do is give it a couple of hours to dry a little bit more, and I'm going to add a second coat. In the meantime, I'm going to work on the braid. So with this braiding hair, I have 1 meter long of it, and it actually was sitting in a braid for about a good year because I was gonna do a different wig with it. But that didn't end up going ahead, or I don't really remember, to be honest. What we're gonna do with this braid is we're going to stretch the hair, which basically means, so if you didn't know, all of this hair kind of ends at the same level, which if you were to put that in a braid, it's gonna look quite bad, like it's gonna look quite blunt, which is not what we want. We want sort of like a natural ombre effect. And rather than going in and just thinning out the ends, the better method is to sort of separate the hair and just, or unbraid the hair and just sort of pull on it, stretch little bits out. And create a bit of variation in the lengths. Now, meter long, what is this? Yaki hair, which is basically like super textured hair, is not for the faint of heart. So, you know, exercise caution because it very easily can become a huge mess. My arm is getting so tired. Then, once you've gone ahead and done that, what I like to do is I will take a zip tie around the middle and tie it super tight. And you can pin through that zip tie, pop it on a wig head. You can even pin through it twice, even 3 times. Just to make it super secure. And you can start braiding. And the trick is you can add some water. Now this water has some conditioner in it. Just to give it a little bit of extra smoothness. Now eventually what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a little elastic band to the end here. And then disguise it with a little bit of hair threaded through, around and through. But before I do that, I need to steam this hair. And those little elastics, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But these little elastics, they don't, as soon as they get some heat applied to them, they snap. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with my steamer, and I've just secured the end with a zip tie before I make it nice and pretty. All right, so I went ahead and I hit that with some steam, and now all I have to do is secure the end with a little doodah, but I'm gonna leave that till later because it's getting late and I wanna get all of the gluing done, and this I can do easily tomorrow because I have a deadline to make. So we're prioritizing. We're going to jump back to her. I think she's been sitting here for probably about, since I started, 5 hours or so. In the meantime, I just started editing this video. And what we're going to do now, I might receive some hateful comments for. So because I know the girl and I know she wants to keep this wig like this forever, what we're going to do is I'm going to add a zip tie there. And nobody hate me, but we're going to cut all of this hair off the ponytail. And that's because I don't want to muck around with braiding this hair into this braid here. As you can see, there are already two different kinds of pink. I don't know what it's showing up like on camera, but they are two different pinks. And I have a trick that we can use to blend them together. But not only that, the ends of this wig are quite white. They're like, I don't know, pale situation. And I don't think that's gonna look good integrated into this pony. So what we're going to do is I've zip tied the hair up here and I'm going to give her a cute little chop. And I want it to be as flat and clean of a chop as I can get it. But unfortunately, my scissors aren't able to cut through 180% density hair, so, you know. So this hair, we can do some things with, and that's going to come to disguising this bit, wrapping around or whatever. So I'm gonna keep this somewhere. A little life hack if you're ever keeping, I don't know if anyone besides me or other, you know, wig stylists would ever do this, but if you're keeping loose hair, you can just add a zip tie. Keep it nice and orderly and stuff, so it doesn't get all messy and unusable. Okay, all right, and then the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to feed yet another zip tie into this ponytail section. And the purpose of this zip tie is to cheatily attach the braid. So basically, when everything's all done and set and whatnot, this zip tie is going to be connecting, like I'm gonna fold it up and connect it to this braid here. And then we're gonna cover this section. So yeah, now I've pre-fed it in there, and all we need to do to make sure this zip tie doesn't slip out and pull all of this stuff is just glue the ends here. Now, I know it probably hurts a few of you to see a wig cut in such a way, but again, I promise you this girl has no problem with keeping this wig like this forever. We already talked about it. And also, she needs it for a gig tomorrow. Okay, and now this back bit, it's not completely dry. It's not to that tap solid bit, but it's not moving anywhere. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to work on the faux hairline at the back, so I can remove this cable, and I'm gonna take my hair cutting scissors. And if you're not super familiar with or skilled at cutting hair, what you can do is you can cut a hard line around just as like a guideline, and you can extend it beyond the actual edge of the wig, because I don't know if you've ever worn an updo before, but often you can see a little bit of your hair from underneath poking through, and that is not the fantasy. So if we have an opportunity to sort of, I guess, extend where the wig comes down to, why not? Okay, so the thing with this kind of hairline is that we're getting close to the ears here, and you don't want hair that's poking, you know, the folds like of your ears, whatever. So basically, right here at the very top, you do want to end it where the wig sort of naturally ends, because you don't realize that because you're wearing a wig and you can't really feel all the bits and pieces going on, but the wig generally sits right here, depending on how big your head is or whatever, it sits right here. So you don't want the hair going and digging, I guess, into the head when it's all glued and stuff. So end it, you know, where the wig cap is there, and then you can sort of like gradually let it get longer and longer and longer. And just angling my scissors in the same direction the hair is going, this way, and just cutting into it and making a more soft appearing hairline. Look, you're gonna get covered in little tiny short hairs, and if you have an Apple Watch, it's gonna get in all the holes and things like that. But hey, that's life. Plus also, your hand is going to cramp, I guarantee you. You can use thinning scissors, okay? But I just don't like it because sometimes the thinning scissors will crimp the hair and they make it look, I don't know, ugly. And also they can be a bit chunky. And look, the amount of feathering that you do, completely up to you. I know some people, when they do this style, first of all, they don't post it online because they like to gatekeep. But when they do this style, you know, you might have a hard line sort of thing, almost, I don't know, very wig-like, or, you know, others are going for a more natural kind of appearance. I know some people even, you can keep it quite long and, you know, curl the hair. You know, the back part of this is completely customizable, just like, I guess, any component of any wig ever. But I find that this is what I prefer, even though it takes so much more effort, but that's fine. And then once you're happy with the hairline, I'll just give you a quick little glance. Look, there are bits and pieces that are a bit sparse, but also the wig itself was, I don't know, was quite inconsistent, let's say, with the lengths that it was cut to. We work with what we have. But once you're happy with the back hairline, I like to give it a good spray. And then just a flatten. And then we can go in with a second layer of glue. And you don't want to completely saturate the ends, because what's going to happen is you're going to look up and you're going to have these glued, solid bits of hair poking into the back of your neck. So when I say second layer of glue, sure, go ham up here, but then, you know, only just sort of lightly bring it down so that those hairs will stay down, but, you know, they're not gonna like cause any injuries. And you can even do a second layer on, I guess, the front part of the wig as well. Now tomorrow, when I come back and this wig is all dry, what I'm gonna do is give it a spray of pink hairspray, and I'm going to spray the braid, and then that's going to blend the two different colors of pink. Luckily they are pretty close, you know, close-ish already, so, you know, we shouldn't have to do too much work to get them blended. But that's the plan tomorrow after the glue is dry. And then we can simply attach the piggy tail, the ponytail, or whatever. And you know what? I'll add a little bit more on top here, just to be thorough. All right. Good night, my sweet. I will see you tomorrow, and I will see you in the next 2 seconds. Good morning. It is the next day, and sorry, I'm still waking up. It's time to attach the pony. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this zip tie that we prepared earlier. I'm just going to thread it through the top of the braid. Like that. Excellent. So I've attached the braid, and then I just sort of like finessed the zip ties so that the braid was sort of coming out of the front bit of this ponytail section rather than the middle or the back. So you can kind of like adjust it and sort of pull it more forward. And what we're gonna do is just lock that in. Where these two zip ties sort of cross each other, you can, sorry, my glue gun cord is very short. You can sort of lock those two in together. So the next thing is I went ahead and I prepared some, they're just toilet paper rolls, but any kind of cylinder will do. We need 2 of them because it's just a little bit too thick. So we've cut them to length and then put a little slit in them. And basically we're just going to put down some glue and sandwich them both over the ponytail. So the first one can go at the front and the second one at the back. So that's one of them placed down, and we're just going to grab the other one and do the same but from underneath. And you want to make sure you're securing this second one not only to the other cylinder bit but also to the structure underneath. So getting all of this black bungee cord here up to the pink hair and whatnot. Excellent. And then the last thing that we need to do, other than blend the 2 pinks together, is to wrap this in hair. So good thing we have this hair here. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to do a layer of hot glue and then just press some of the hair into it. And then we'll do another layer and then another layer, and then eventually we're going to have this thick amount of hair attached to the cylinder that we can use glue to paste around nice and smoothly. So yeah, watch me do that. Just for your reference, this is what the little, I guess, cylinder thing, I don't know what to call it, I don't know. But this is what we're looking like. So I've captured the ends in hot glue and then I sort of have pasted them down with a bit of cardboard. And yeah, now I'm just going to glue this all the way around. And you can even go in with like a little comb just to finesse some of it. And then using the rat tail part to sort of flatten out those lines you've created with the teeth of the comb in the glue. Awesome, so we're just gonna wait for that to dry. And while we wait, I'm going to, like I said, replace the end of this with some fun ties. Excellent, now when that dries, we're gonna have a beautiful wig. So we've done everything except for blend the two pinks. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up my secret weapon. Now this part I can't recommend because I've not done this before and I don't really know how it's going to work out. So what I'm gonna do is pop a towel down so I don't damage my rented hardwood floors. And look, all this work could be for nothing. I'm not 100% sure. So it's getting pink in here. Excellent, and I mean, there we have it. This is the finished result. Let me show you what's up. I can't sort of be too rough with it or anything, just because this glue up here is still setting. But there you go. Let me take these out and I'll show you, what the back looks like and how slick and smooth. And bonus, you get that fun tap, tap, tap. Anyway, if you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a like. I know it's been a while since I uploaded. Mind your business. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. I've got a few exciting videos coming up, including some fun behind the scenes of a photo shoot for a single cover. Plus, I'm gonna have a guest on the channel very soon. So yeah, stay tuned for all of that fun stuff. And until next time, bye.